actually based on a ritual that was developed in Eastern Europe about 500 years ago. In its traditional form, it involves taking a solid object like this rope and linking it onto another solid object like this metal ring, like this. And from what I understand, in the hands of a skilled practitioner, it would look as though these solid objects were just dancing through. You look a little skeptical. Would you like to examine the ring? Check that out carefully, if you would, please. You see any trap doors? You slobbered on my ring. Right, so are you satisfied?
Not yet.
No, but we're talking about the ring, man. That got awkward in a hurry. Here, why don't you check that one out? You do the same thing. You can hold them up to the light if you want to. If you see any mirrors or trap doors or springs or anything, let us know. That did not belong up there. You know that. I don't really know for sure how these work, but I do know how they were used. See, in that time period, 500 years ago in Eastern Europe, an elderly gypsy woman would play a role that today we would probably call family counseling. So people would come in and ask life questions of her, and she would try to give them advice. So, for example, a young couple would come in and they would explain that they were madly in love with one another. And they would ask the gypsy woman whether they should get married. Well, she would take out her rings of fate and she would begin banging them together, just like this. And if it seemed to her that that couple belonged to one another, then somehow, as if by magic, those rings would become linked. Like the links on a chain. And if it seemed to her that that couple didn't belong together, then somehow those rings would come unlinked, just like rings of smoke. Now, every once in a while, the couple would be in a big hurry to get married, for some reason. And in those cases, the gypsy would try to accommodate their needs, but she knew, as well as you and I do, that usually things that come together too quickly don't last very long. Now, it wasn't always about getting married. Sometimes a young couple would come in and ask whether they should have children. That's another important life lesson, life question. And so the gypsy would try to determine whether that young family was ready to add another ring. And with a single word, she could deliver the most astonishing news. The word was twins. Would be astonishing. But she would always warn her prospective parents that even in the best of households, eventually the children fly the coop. And all of the gypsy's clients received the same solemn admonition that as they had been alone when they came into this world, so too would they leave it. Wow.